Welcome back to the Fantasy Heat Seekers podcast. I'm your host, Rick Butts, here with Brad Menendez and Taylor Cornell. How are you guys doing?
Living the holiday dream, brother. How are you?
I love Thanksgiving. I'm ready to smoke this turkey and eat like a fat kid that I am. What about you,
Taylor, how's it
Taylor?
going, brother?
I'm looking forward to the stuffing and the stuffing alone.
Stuffing.
Oh yeah.
Okay. We will get into this. We will get into this discussion later on in the podcast because there is a big debate on which Thanksgiving foods make the roster and which ones do not. And we already have differing opinions, so that's going to be fun to explore. Um, no matter where you're watching us, if you would hit that subscribe button or uh, and notification bell if you're on YouTube. Jamie Sands says, face with no mouth. Can you hear us or no?
Face with no mouth.
Yeah, face with no
Creepy.
mouth. Yeah, it is kind of creepy. Them Canadians, man, they'll bring in the creepy stuff. I'm not sure what he's saying. Can you hear us? If you're out there, shoot us a message. Let us know that you can hear us. And Brad, do you have any NFL news, fantasy news that we need to pay attention? Oh, stuffing his mouth, apparently.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
I think that's what he meant. I was like, oh man, they can't hear us, and he's like, no, I'm stuffing my mouth. Um,
Is he at Applebee's again? Was that him that was at Applebee's like a couple weeks back? Watching your live stream from Applebee's.
yeah, watch us from wherever you are.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, we got a lot. I mean, there's lots of news. I don't know that it's terribly exciting news, but there's a lot of it.
well,
There's some pretty exciting
Uh,
news.
Coming from
Why
the
don't you go-
Bengals fan,
Why
it's
don't you go ahead and
not
kick it
anything's
off?
exciting.
He's back.
Some of the most exciting news is coming out of Cincinnati, where the Red Rocket is making an appearance this weekend.
That's
Andy
right.
Dalton will be back starting for the Cincinnati Bengals. See if he can lose games like he did before. Shouldn't be too difficult.
Tyler Boyd back on the fantasy radar for the last few weeks at least.
So does this mean that AJ Green's going to show up so he can play football, or is he just going to stay on the sidelines and watch some more?
I think he's going to get a feel for how things are going this Sunday and what's feeling for week 14 or whatever that is in a couple weeks, and I think he might miraculously be healed.
So that is what it is. Some more AFC North news. The Duck is going to be starting again this weekend. So Tomlin decided he's going to go Hodges instead of Mason Rudolph, which quite a smart move. I mean, Hodges isn't any good, and neither is Mason Rudolph, but at least Hodges is fun to watch, and he tries to make things happen. So for those of you that are hurting at quarterback, because there's still a ton of injuries going on, I picked up Hodges in a few places to stash. I would never start him, but it never hurts to have him. What say you, Rick Butts? How you feel about Pittsburgh's QB situation?
I mean, Devlin's been good enough not to get his helmet stolen and cracked upside the head, so
Well, that's what happens when you mess with Myles Garrett.
apparently that whole situation was crazy. We didn't talk about that on the show because we weren't on last Wednesday, but
They don't deserve to be talked. That's just nonsense.
no, I'm not going to go into it, but this whole quarterback, they need to just end their season and get Big Ben back next year because their quarterback situation is garb. Mason Rudolph is not looking like the future of the Steelers at quarterback, and Hodges isn't either.
Nope.
So what are you what are you gonna do? It's just trash, and we've seen it affect Juju. Um, James Washington, I believe he finally had a big play right after
And Hodges got in.
Hodges came in.
Yep.
So maybe that'll help him a little bit. But this just whole situation, they need to improve. So the move is Not necessarily good or bad for fantasy because I don't think either of those guys is very good. But for anybody that is not a fan of the Steelers, I think this whole situation's good. But um, yeah, there's not much to talk about there.
Yeah. The last but not least quarterback news from this week should excite you for tomorrow because at least your team will win on Thanksgiving. Detroit is David Blau, not Blow, Blau. I looked up his name to make sure we pronounce it right. So all you Blow fans, it's Blau. So he's expected to start tomorrow against Chicago, and that should just be amazing. I'm excited to see Detroit just get pummeled. I hope they make Trubisky look like a Hall of Famer because the rumors coming out of Detroit are the head coach and the GM are on the chopping block if they get destroyed by Chicago. So I'm very excited to see them get destroyed. If it's in the 40 to 50 range for Chicago, I would be very excited. So that'll make your Thanksgiving good while you're stuffing your face. Hopefully,
Did you just say that Mitch Trubisky is going to lead the Bears, or you would like to see him lead the Bears to 40 or 50 points? Because
absolutely.
I don't know if he'd put up 40 or 50 versus a high school team.
I don't care if it's
Listen to
defense
this.
scoring all that. It doesn't matter to me.
This is what's frustrating being a Bears fan, right? I think there's been 8 games that we have held the opponent to 17 or fewer points, and we're 500 in those games. In this NFL, if you hold a team to 17 points, they should have minimum been 7-1 in those 8 games, and they're 4-4. It's ridiculous. This offense blows. You guys might
Blows.
beat us tomorrow. It blows. This offense blows.
There's no way Detroit is winning. It's going to be amazing. I'm hoping that stadium is filled with Chicago fans. Like I want them to blow this thing up, not blow this thing up, blow it. I want them to blow it up. I want this to be Bengals level bad because
we're trying.
Oh,
We're trying to lose. Come on.
So
it
that
is
being
crazy
said, it's wild.
that all of our teams are bad.
They all
How many?
blow.
Okay, so what? The Bears are 4-5, 5-6,
5-6. Yeah.
5-6. What are the Lions?
3-7-1 after we just got beat by Dwayne Haskins.
So 8-13-1, and then the Bengals have how many wins? 0? Oh yeah, cool. We have 8 combined wins in our 3 teams. We are doing well.
Take
Okay,
our
so
advice.
Jamie Sands says Kaepernick to the Steelers, and a text source says, so here's where the gangbang is. So apparently he's here for the gangbang.
That kind of party.
Ben says, do I start Dak versus Buffalo or Winston versus Jacksonville?
Winston.
Dak.
Who? I'm the tiebreaker.
I need some explanation as to how somehow Dak against a Buffalo stout defense is going to somehow be successful.
I mean,
I want to hear the tiebreaker first.
Jacksonville's hemorrhaging points right now. I mean, they're making everybody look good.
He's trying to sway me. Here's the thing. Like, I have to go Winston just because they throw so freaking much. This dude had 13 interceptions in 4 or 5 games going into last week. I think he threw 2 more last week. But the thing is that he throws 45 times and puts up a bunch of yards because he throws all the time. Dak's numbers were bloated from playing Washington and Giants, and that schedule he started out with out of the first 5 weeks, 4 of the teams he played were giving up top 5 points to the quarterback. So this is a matchup that I don't like attacking Buffalo. Their defense is really good. I'd have to go with Winston, even though it makes me want to throw up.
Dude, Winston, the rest of the schedule is very, very kind to him. So
I'm not going to say Buffalo is not a good defense. They're good. Their last few games have been against situation trash, Miami quarterback situation trash, Cleveland 3 weeks ago was struggling, Washington trash, Philly, they gave up 31 points. Miami, trash. Tennessee, I think they were still starting Mariota back in week 5. So I'm not sure that they've really gone up against good quarterback play this year. I think they're a great defense, don't get me wrong. But I'm not going to look at the numbers from what they've given up and assume that Dak isn't going to be able to perform
But
against them.
aren't they getting slaughtered on the ground though?
That'd be a great thing to look up.
The Fantasy League Collective or whatever the site was I used for fantasy points to positions is no longer up. It wasn't up earlier today, at least. So that means airyards.com and the Fantasy League Collective
Air
are
Yards is
both.
back. Air Yards is back.
Oh, Air Yards is back.
Air Yards is
Nice.
back. Someone fixed it for them, so it's
Good.
back, I believe.
That's a great site. I'm gonna look up the Fantasy League Collective, see if it's back up, and
That's
then we can
what
actually
I was
look
looking
deeper.
at.
I tried looking at it earlier today, and it was.
And it says it can't find the server. So
Yeah, and that's where I used to check all my, running back versus, defense versus running back stats or versus wide receiver or quarterback. But I'm pretty sure that if we looked at those box scores, they got just slaughtered on the ground. Um, I know Tennessee was Henry one of his big games against Buffalo.
going to Pro Football Reference to just kind of see what their box scores look like.
Yeah, so he can look that up, but I mean, I'm going Winston unless it's the quarterbacks that are killing Buffalo, and then I could switch, but
Well, I don't think the quarterbacks are killing them because their quarterbacks that they've been playing have been so bad. I wouldn't expect any of those guys to light up any defense, really. So I'm not sure that we're going to see that Buffalo has given up a bunch of passing yards just because I don't think the teams they faced have had a formidable passer. Now, I don't think that Prescott, I agree, he's been padding his numbers the last few weeks. He struggled mightily last week against a great defense in New England. I'm just always wary of Winston just completely sinking a week with 4 interceptions and 2 fumbles. So that's why I decided I'd go the better quarterback.
The problem is that he just threw like 4 interceptions a couple weeks ago, but they just kept having him air it out, and he just gets so many opportunities for touchdowns to make up for it in yards. So
That dude's got the best short-term memory of any quarterback I've ever seen play. Like that dude, he throws interceptions and then turns right around and throws touchdown the next play. It's like, holy cow. So Buffalo has given up some big games. They gave up 218 yards on the ground to Philadelphia back in week 8, 127 to Washington, 147 to Cleveland, but then they held Denver to 85 and the Dolphins to 23, but they suck.
yeah, but that was
Tennessee
Kalen Balaj.
102.
We are going to talk about Kalen Balaj today. We will
He's
talk
the
about
most
him on this
amazing
show.
1-yard runner you will ever see, all right?
I mean, let's be honest. How is this dude on an NFL roster right now? I have given Rojo so much shit over the last 2 years about how he's not a good NFL running back. Kalen Balaj is horrible. Every time I look at the box score, it's like 9 carries for 16 yards. The one time it was 9 carries for
yards. Yeah.
no, the one time it was 9 carries for like -4 yards, and then he busted off like a 12-yarder to get positive. And it's just like
even pass catching, he'll be like 3 catches for 2 yards.
how, and they stick with them. How are they? They already said he's going to be the guy this week again. How is this guy real? I mean, I
What do they
believe
got? They got Myles Gaskin, and that's the only other running back that I know on the roster.
Patrick Laird, right? Is the other guy that people were kind of high on last week.
Isn't he a fullback, though? Like, I saw people picking him up, but I think he's a fullback.
I don't know. It's bad. And it's just funny that they're so bad at judging running backs. Like, look at what Kenyon Drake has done in 3 weeks, facing San Francisco, Tampa Bay, and San Francisco. 2 of the top 4 defenses versus the run. And he had one game that was just like,
okay.
But the other 2 were fine for that matchup. You'll take it every time if you've got to play him. But it's just like, how can they not like him, but they've been so intrigued by Kalen Balazs.
Yeah,
Get
I'm looking at some stats here. Running backs averaging fewest yards after contact per attempt. Kalen Balaj worst. David Johnson and then David Montgomery second and third worst. Yards after contact per
how
attempt.
how is it? What is Balazs' stat?
I'm looking for the actual numbers because he's got to be far and away the worst.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I bet his number is way off of where they're at. I mean, they haven't been good, but it's it's so gross.
I do also
Um,
got to put out there some more news though. Delaney Walker was put on IR today, so if any of you are Delaney Walker people, he's unavailable. But Jonnu Smith obviously will then step in and be the starter for the rest of the season. Uh, Texans also worked out Kenneth Dixon. All of you Kenneth Dixon fans out there in the world, he could be a
I
thing.
forgot all about him.
He could be a thing
I
again.
love Kenny Dixon. I pick him up every time he gets signed, or is
Well,
coming
but if
back.
you went to a team like the Texans, I mean, that would just be terrible for Duke Johnson because somehow every
It
time a
wouldn't be.
running back's there, it hurts Duke Johnson.
What do you mean it's gonna hurt Duke Johnson? Don't even use him anyway. Like Houston, I don't get it. They just sling it around too. Watson's gonna die. He's been sacked about as many times as David Carr.
True story. Yeah, it's disappointing. I can't believe they traded a pick for a guy they're not even using. I mean, but to Kenyon Drake's support, they're playing him over David Johnson. Like, I mean, that should tell you everything you need to know. Like Miami, what are you
Well,
doing?
you just heard that stat. David Johnson's, if we act like Kalen Balaj is an NFL running back, then he's second worst in yards after being touched. But basically, he's the worst because we don't count Kalen Balaj. I mean, that guy should not be getting any touches. He's so bad. And I think if you take out his 75-yard run that he had against the Vikings last year, Kalen Balaj's average is under 2 yards per carry for his career, and I think he's had like 140 rushes or something. Like
Yeah,
it's
he's
bad.
at 1.9 yards this season. Eli Manning's career yards per carries are 1.8. So he's
I
Manning.
don't. The thing I don't get is like I don't know why he's so bad. Like coming out of college, people had a little bit of excitement about him, and I was not a big fan of him. But I'm like, dude, 6'2", 231. This dude should be crushing people, and he just can't run anybody over.
Dude, everybody said he looks like Steven Jackson, but he runs like Michael Jackson. I don't know. Like the dude just
Fair
like
comparison.
he goes down so easy. He goes down so easy, and he shouldn't. You're right. He looks like he should be a good running back, but this dude is terrible.
It's hard to
And
see.
we've talked about Kalen Balazs for far too long.
I blame
It's
Taylor.
true. That's true. Move on.
Okay, what other news do we have?
So there was a little blurb that came out of Dallas that the rumor has it that Garrett and the crew will be fired if they don't win the Super Bowl. So take that for what it's worth.
So they're fired.
They're fired.
They're fired
This season's going
because
to be
they're not winning the Super Bowl. I mean, we saw last week I mean, they're not going to beat the Patriots. I don't even think the Patriots are the best team. They have one of the best defenses, but right now it's hard to go against the teams like the Saints and the 49ers. Like they had that one bad week, but then they came back and just looked dominant last week.
Yep.
Those teams right now are probably two of my favorites to win the Super Bowl.
This
But
weekend will be
you can
very
never
telling.
count the Patriots out.
Yeah, right. This week will be very telling to see how the 49ers Ravens game goes. I mean, that could be foreshadowing what you'll see in the Super Bowl.
Throw the Ravens in there too. And we can talk about Lamar Jackson and how he's not human and get everybody all fired up that's watching. I don't know why people get so upset about my not human posts, but that dude's doing stuff we've never seen before. And I don't care if the NFL's changed, he's doing stuff that's far beyond what anybody else is doing in the NFL right now. Like, I mean,
He throws a nice ball for a running back. I'll say that.
Yeah, he's a pretty good quarterback for a running back, for sure.
Well, and that's the amazing thing to me is, I listen to a ton of different podcasts throughout the week, and I listen to a couple of scouting ones, and one of the guys that I listened to put it perfectly. Typically, coming out of college, you don't teach guys how to get more accurate, but he's gotten more accurate every year of college and every year in the NFL. Like his completion percentage has gotten better every year. It's like he's doing things that just don't happen for quarterbacks typically. So I'm excited by him. I mean, hopefully this is a change for the better, and they give more running backs opportunity to play quarterback in college, uh, and we see the game change. I mean, because this only makes the NFL better. This only makes fantasy better. Think of all those guys that you took Lamar Jackson as like your second quarterback, and think of it maybe even a super flex league. He's your second quarterback, and if you nailed your first quarterback, now you've got two studs. I mean, it's cool. Like I like it.
Yeah, and the thing, and I said this because I don't know if our boy Paul's watching, but like he hammered Lamar Jackson all off season about how he just wasn't good. Remember, Winston was so much better. Um, that's
Yeah.
one thing where I said like this guy is such a good athlete that one, he doesn't have to be as accurate as most quarterbacks because the way he can make things happen, his wide receivers are and tight ends because they use a tight end a lot are going to be able to get open because everybody's keying on him. When they don't know if he's going to run or not, they hesitate, and that's going to help people get separation. So that helps when you're not as accurate. But he got so much more accurate, threw for 5 touchdowns the other night. But this dude is on pace for like 3,600 passing yards, which doesn't sound great, but he's also on pace for like 1,200 rushing yards. That's 4,800 yards, and I'll tell you what, I'll take a quarterback that throws for 3,600 if he's going to get me 600 more rushing yards than anybody, because you only got to get 10 of those to get a fantasy point. Like this dude is it's bonkers. It's crazy what he's doing. He spreads the ball around too. Week one, everybody thought like Hollywood Brown was going to be the only guy, but Willie Snead got 2 touchdowns the other day. Mark Andrews has had 2 touchdown days. Seth Roberts had the one big week. So he's going to throw to who's open. He's not forcing it to certain individuals. Nick Boyle gets in the action. Hurst gets in the action. Ingram had 2 touchdown receiving, I think, this past week. Um, it's just unbelievable what he's doing. I had Russell Wilson as my MVP up until this week, and I think I have to lean Lamar now.
It's tough. I mean, Russell Wilson gets the edge for me just because of what he's doing it with. I mean, like the defense isn't amazing. I mean, they're putting him, he's in a position he has to carry the team most weeks. Their running game's good, but it's Russell Wilson's show. And so I can't argue the Jackson thing, but I mean, Baltimore's defense is pretty stingy. So I would lean towards Russell Wilson just because I think he has less and does more. But can you really argue either?
Taylor, you got to break the tie.
Um,
CMC.
I've been, yeah.
You say the Red Rocket, and I'm punching you through the screen.
I had Russell Wilson up until this past week. So, I mean, recency bias is real, but this wasn't just a 1 week national stage performance for Lamar. He's been doing it pretty much all season. I agree, Russell Wilson's situation. I think his coaching is worse than in Baltimore. I think his supporting cast is probably worse. I mean, they might have better pass catchers, but just that scheme that Lamar's running is so much better than what Russell Wilson has to work with there. But just the things Jackson's doing, I imagine it is a little difficult in that we've seen Robert Griffin come in mop-up duty and also just shred. So I'm wondering if it's a scheme and offensive thing as well as far as their coordinators. But, I mean, just the things he's doing against great teams. I think if he had some sort of just bust week against the Niners here, might swing back to Russell Wilson. But those two are clearly the front runners right now.
Yeah, I think CMC's got to be in there. And what this guy's doing is completely bonkers too. I mean, he's basically like a wide receiver two and a running back one, all smashed into to one player. It's crazy, but yeah, I think it's definitely those three and nobody else. I mean, there's nobody else. Some people consider Watson, but I don't think so. um,
I don't think you can. I just don't. I can't see McCaffrey getting any votes for a team
he's
that's.
not
I mean,
going
they're
to.
5-6 right now. I think if they made a playoff run, even getting into the playoffs, if they finished 10-6 or something crazy, I think he would be much more in the serious discussion about it. I think he's like a fantasy MVP up there with Lamar, but it's just without their team making the playoffs, it's difficult to imagine him getting any votes.
I hate that about the MVP, and that's in all sports about wins and losses. Like they might have one win if they don't have Christian McCaffrey. Like if they've got Mike Davis now. Like if Mike Davis was their starting running back for the next 5 games, how many games are they going to win without McCaffrey? And that's the way. Like I wish it was looked at more, but all sports they count. I think in baseball, like the last guy that won on a team with a losing record was like 1988 or something. So it just doesn't happen. But yeah, I don't think he's going to get a lot of votes, but he's got to be in that talk. But I think it's definitely depending on how it goes down the stretch, Russell Wilson or Lamar Jackson. Unless something crazy happens and one of them has a bad stretch and somebody else goes bonkers. But Lamar Jackson's just it. We've never seen anything like it. People want to compare to Michael Vick. He's doing what Michael Vick never done. I mean, he's completing passes at 66%. Um, Vic had one season of that after he got out of prison, and was a little more accurate at that point, but he didn't run as much at that point. Um, but uh, but he's rushing it, he's passing it, he's doing everything. So it's definitely fun to watch. Um, yeah, I suppose we should probably move on from the Lamar Jackson.
So that's all the big news. I mean, mostly you've started seeing teams re-sign guys. Philly re-signed a kicker to a 5-year extension and things like that. So most of the news is just minor minor re-signings and things like that. So that's kind of the big news of the week.
Okay, here's a question: would you trade Mike Williams or Will Fuller
Yes.
for Devonta Freeman if you're making a run in the playoffs? Is Freeman active
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's been
this
practicing
week?
this week, so he should be available. But he's going against the Saints, so
And let's just say Mike Williams and Fuller are like your wide receivers, like either 5 and 6 or 6 and 7.
I would trade Fuller in a heartbeat. But I also think he's not good. So like I don't like him. Mike Williams, I wouldn't trade for Devonta Freeman though.
You don't think Will Fuller's good,
Well,
or you just worry about his
no,
injuries?
I'm tired of dealing with the injuries. Like that's just it just isn't
Okay.
good enough
I
for
was
me.
gonna say because he is good
No,
when
yeah,
he's on the field, he produces, but he is injury prone.
he's on the
But so
field
is Mike
almost as
Williams,
well, but not nearly as injury prone as Will Fuller. And I think I've been on the field more this
but
year
not
than
nearly, but not nearly as productive either.
that's the whole team's fault, though. I mean, that's just been a bad
What do you
team
mean?
this year.
Wait a second, because I just had this up. This dude, Mike Williams,
He does nothing but
has
catch 30, 40-yard passes. I mean, they don't give him anything.
this dude had 13 targets in 1 week and only hauled in 6 for 74 yards on 13 targets. The next week, he had 10 targets and pulled in 5 for 72. So in 2 weeks, he had 23 targets, 11 receptions for 146 yards. I mean, look at Will Fuller. When he gets 13 targets, the dude goes bananas.
Has he played this year?
Oh, Jesus.
Okay,
I'll
my
tell you
vote's
what,
no.
though.
The
I wouldn't
best
make
the
the trade
best
either way.
abilities availability.
What'd you say, Taylor?
I said my votes. I wouldn't make the trade regardless of either one.
Yeah, I'm not a big Devonta Freeman guy.
I'm also like I'm looking at Devontae's schedule. So he's got Carolina this week, Then he's got Tampa, New Orleans, Carolina again, San Francisco. Tampa Bay
Oh
and New,
yeah,
Tampa Bay and New Orleans are second and fourth in rushing yards allowed per game. Then you've got San Francisco's defense. I understand they're better against the pass than the run, but it's still a stout defensive line. So he's got two Carolina matchups, week 11 and 14, but then you've got like 3 or 4 other matchups in there that aren't going to help you depending on when your playoffs are. So it's kind of there's a chance you
yeah,
do this trade and he doesn't quite benefit you like you would
yeah.
want.
I'll take Kareem Hunt catching the ball 5 times a game rather than bet on Freeman. So
Yeah, Kareem Hunt, is involved, and who knows what's gonna happen with.
well, Freeman's gonna get all the touches because Brian Hill was a bust. That was an experiment that went south real quick. But I don't like those matchups, like you said. The thing is he does catch the ball, and that makes you a little more. Uh, uh, what's the word I'm looking for?
Valuable.
Well, no, I just mean like matchup proof.
Yeah.
Like, you might not get the rushing yards, but if he gets 4 more receptions in that game, then that can make up for it. So you always have to factor that in with running backs that can catch the ball too, and he can catch the ball, and nobody else on their team's any good. And has he played since Sanu left? Because that's just more target opportunity for the running back, and that's something to think about. But I just don't know if it's worth it. I'd rather go into the off season with. I mean, we've got a ton of wide receivers on that team, um, so maybe our wide receivers can win it for us because we've got like I need the Lions to have a quarterback though because Galladay's been trash
Oh,
without Matt Stafford. So
so brutal.
um, um,
Things we're talking wide receivers. What's what's the deal with Devontae Parker? What do you guys think about him long term? Because
trash.
he's been doing well with what they've got this year, and I don't know why.
Be- because Kalen Balaj rushes for 12 yards on 87 carries. They can't run the ball; they just throw it now. And Fitzpatrick's going to heave it up, but I I don't know. I'm not buying into it. He's got a lot of targets, but I mean, Allen Hurns is doing good right now. Are you high on Allen Hurns?
I'm not high on any Miami wide receivers. People keep asking me. Look, I've had a lot of people mess with her, and I'm just like, I don't trust it.
You got to look. Okay, I told people this. It reminds me of the Bears. What was it? 4 seasons ago now, when Cameron Meredith had a big stretch there, but they didn't have anybody else. They weren't running the ball good. Um, their other wide receivers were like just trash. So they got fed the ball. And when you get that type of volume, now he's getting that volume with Preston Williams out. Preston Williams was getting that volume before. So when he comes back, if you don't have a gunslinger like Fitzpatrick, if you have any resemblance of a running game, what happens then? And I think all the Parker truthers right now are trying to say I told you so, but when you look at the situation, Kalen Balaj averaging 1.9 yards per carry. Oh man, that's bad. It's bad. I don't want anything to do with anybody on Miami right now.
Yeah, not a big Miami fan either. But people want to know.
Taylor,
Nope. I'm
nope.
out. I'm
I'm
out.
out. I'm out. Um, what other players like that, right? Okay, so the shark conversation popped up again today because somebody said they heard on another podcast that Shark was a top 10 dynasty wide receiver.
Oh my
Um,
god.
and, you
That would be
know,
a very nerdy thing to do.
they were basically the implication was that, 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, when I was like, you guys are nuts for, trading this type of capital for him right now. Um, it was that I was wrong. Well, since that time, weeks 1 through 5, he averaged 21 points per game. Since then, he's averaged 14, which isn't bad. I've never said that he was a bad wide receiver, but he has lost 33% of his production over
He's
the
boomer
last
bust.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
And, he is, well, that's fine. Mike Evans is boomer bust, but people were trading him for a first rounder. And I seen Diggs go for Terry McLaurin straight up when they were struggling.
I
You
trade
don't
Shark for
buy.
Diggs. Yep.
Do what?
I said if I own Shark anywhere, I trade him straight up for Diggs.
Absolutely. But my thing is that you don't buy these guys when they're on a hot stretch like that because you're buying at peak. Like you should if you thought he was two first at that time, and that was the public's thought, um, he should be cheaper than that now because his production has went down, and he might be a solid wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 over the next few seasons, but you can't buy at those peak points um, because he was regressing, and you're paying. People are going to make you pay for that production. So that was my only point to that. Um,
Yeah, I mean the dude is so hit or miss each week that it's like he's not a top 10 receiver in my eyes. I mean, I
Yeah,
like him a lot, but not that much.
I've got him at wide receiver 31. It looks like. And I moved him up a ton. He was like one of my biggest risers so far this season because I had him buried in the wide receiver rankings, and he produced. So you got to move him up. He's young, got to move him up. But I mean, there's quarterback uncertainty there, which some wide receivers it doesn't matter to me. I don't care that Drew Brees might retire this year if they win the Super Bowl. Like Michael Thomas is Michael Thomas. He produced with Bridgewater. I don't care. Chark, I don't. I think I do care a little bit because he put up some numbers with, Brad's boy Minshew. But he struggled a little bit with Foles, and again, I'm not gonna. It's small sample size, so I'm not gonna say Foles and Chark are not good together. But it's just a question of going into next year is which one of those quarterbacks is throwing him the ball. Does D.D. Westbrook take a step? Do they draft anybody? Just I think there's uncertainty there that I don't believe in his talent enough to certainly say he's like I said, I've got him as a wide receiver 3-ish. That's about where I'd be comfortable viewing him for dynasty purposes.
yeah, I don't really argue with any of that. I think he has had success with both quarterbacks, though. I think he put up
Yep.
36 the first week that Foles came back. And I know that like half of his production was, or part of his production was before Foles got hurt in week 1. So I think he's done some damage with both of the quarterbacks. But in the boomer bust thing, like you have players like that, right? Like Tyreek Hill was boomer bust. Um, and Mike Evans has always been kind of boomer bust. Like he has those monster games, which help you win weeks. Um, so I don't mind that so much. But the first 5 weeks, it was 4 games of 18 or more points, I think. And there's only been 2 games with more than 11 points since week 5. So that was kind of an outlier stretch. Like, I just don't buy it being that consistent going forward. 4 or 5 game big blow up games, whereas somebody like Mike Evans has like 8 to 10 every year where he blows up, and then he's got like 5, 6 duds. And maybe a couple in between there, but um, and if my thing is, and if I miss on him, I miss on him. But I got him in a trade, and then I traded him where I'm rebuilding and got Kerryon Johnson plus something, I think a third or something. However the deal worked out, I don't remember. But I'd rather have Kerryon Johnson by himself. I thought
Yeah, I
the
like
Lions
Carry.
fan would chime in.
Yeah, I mean I like Carry On, but I yeah, it's a good deal. That's what I'll go on. Carry On is they need to get him help next year. He can't carry. They really got to limit him to 12 to 14 touches a week, I think, to keep him healthy. But that's for a future time.
uh,
And Custer, you're supposed to trade with me. I'm trying to work a deal before the 11 o'clock deadline, and nobody's trading.
yeah, I just kind of gave up on it. Everybody wants my arm and my leg, and
Well, I'm in fifth place in that league, so I'm a playoff team. But so I was trying to make a little moves to shore up my lineup, and so I went to Custer, and he's trying to play spoiler for people. I'm like, you son of a.
Isn't he in line for a playoff spot too?
Well, there's four of us tied at 6-6. I'm at the top of the 6-6ers, and I don't think anybody's really going to be able to catch me because I think I guess I don't know. I'm not positive on that.
We're going for that bye week. All right. we've
So
talked about a lot of random stuff. If you're out there watching and you have any start sit questions, obviously tomorrow, Thanksgiving Day, we got some football and some food. So we're going to talk about some Thanksgiving food. And if you have questions, start sit questions, or any other kind of questions, drop
I've got
those
one.
in the chat and we will cover those. But we are going to do a little Thanksgiving food discussion. But Brad said that he has a start sit question.
I do. I'm going to pose the one that I posted in our Discord chat. And if you guys aren't in the Discord chat, get in there. So in our Roto Heat 96 team league, I'm one of the teams that made it into the playoffs. I've got a dilemma.
Subtle brag.
No big deal. Division 8, baby. Well, minus Taylor. I mean, Taylor's trash at the bottom there, but he took over a dirt roster. So
I inherited it.
He inherited garbage. He's just trying to make it better. So I've got 5 quarterbacks, and they're all playing. Unfortunately, only one of them is really any good. So I got Russell Wilson, who's going to start. He's my guy. After that, I've got Jared Goff, Devlin Hodges, Fitzpatrick, and Andy Dalton.
Fitzpatrick.
You think Fitzpatrick is the guy against the Eagles this week?
Yes. Yep.
Nope.
Yes. Look
the
at
Eagles'
his
defense
fantasy
is
numbers.
pretty stingy.
Not against the pass.
Yeah, they've stepped it up the last few weeks, I believe. I'm gonna go look see if I can find their stats real quick.
I'll take Fitzpatrick. He's done it against everybody so far this year. Buffalo, he put up 25 fantasy points against them.
So Goff's going against the Cardinals' defense.
Who?
Goff is going against the Cardinals' defense, which is literally last in the league against the pass. That's my dilemma. Is that this should be a softball, but he can't beat anybody.
That offense looks like a mess right now. No, I'm probably starting Goff and Wilson, but I think Fitzpatrick's safer.
I hate Goff. He's supposed to be good. He's not.
I'm not starting Devlin Hodges. He's not even in consideration for me.
I've had him on my roster for. Oh no, I hadn't.
Who does Cincy play?
Cincy plays the Jets.
Jets have been shutting people down the last couple weeks too.
They've been pretty good recently.
Yeah. I mean, it would be two out of those 3 for me. I mean, I'm probably going Goff just because the weapons there are better, and we've seen that offense be completely dominant, even though it hasn't been of late. But Fitzpatrick's been doing it.
I know. And that was a tough thing. I was like, man, he's going against, an Eagles defense, which is typically pretty solid. The offense is terrible.
Against the run, and that's my thing.
If Kalen Ballage...
hold on. You quit interrupting me. Kalen Ballage is going to run for 0.9 yards per carry against Philly because they stuff the run.
Gosh.
They are not going to be able to run the ball. They're going to throw the ball 45 times. So that volume is why Ryan Fitzpatrick is a valuable fantasy quarterback. He's not a great... Well, I would like to see him on a team that didn't give up 1 billion points because I think that he could be a solid quarterback. He's only played on one good team in his entire career. And that was the Jets the one year. They went 11-5 or whatever the one year he was a starter there. But, think about how many times he's had to throw the ball down by 30 the last 2 years. Tampa Bay gave up so many points last year. Just slinging it.
Well, look at the
He's going to
last
throw
six.
interceptions.
Well, look at the last 6 weeks. 39 attempts, 45 attempts, 33, 36, 34, 35. I mean, this dude's throwing it like his arm's got to be tired. Dude's 70 years old and he's slinging it that much.
And you were asking why Devontae Parker has any fantasy value right now, and that's why, because
He's the only
it's
receiver.
yeah. I mean, Albert Wilson finally got into the action a little bit last week, but so yeah. I mean, the thing is, Arizona is probably going to keep the game close because they're going to put up some points too. That offense is finally starting to click. Kirk's, in there. Kenyon Drake makes that team better. I just think he's a better running back than David Johnson is at this point. Um, so that offense has been doing better. So they're going to have to throw the ball. There's going to be a lot of plays in that game. So I probably go Goff. I think that you've got a better floor, but you need a ceiling in this matchup because it's 4 teams. You got to have the high score out of the 4 teams. So you need ceiling anyway. And I think Goff has that ceiling because he could throw, 2 touchdowns to Cup and 2 to Woods, or 2 to Cooks, or whatever. I think he's the play probably in that matchup,
Okay, and then
even though you don't feel good about it.
no, I don't. I don't. But Arizona feels like a softball. So then at running back, I have Zeke, Derrick Henry, Rojo, and Devonta Freeman. I'm thinking I'm going with Zeke, Derrick Henry, but I don't know who that third running back really should be. Like I'm not feeling confident about Rojo or Devonta Freeman this week.
I'd go Freeman out of this too.
Well, it's definitely Freeman. It's the answer's never Ronald Jones, except for in my 96 version 1 league, like I have to start him because I have Darius Geis and David Montgomery as my other 2 running backs, so I have to go Montgomery and
David
uh,
Montgomery might have a good week this week against Detroit. They've been
well,
kind of
right, but I
slow.
mean, Darius Geis Washington's so bad, like he has no shot. He's averaging like 2.5 yards per carry or some crap too. But I have to go Ronald Jones in hopes that he has another 7 catch game. But yeah, I mean, I'm going Freeman for sure. I
Jacksonville's been Sid though on the running game though. They've given up a lot of points recently to running backs.
Who's that?
He's facing Jacksonville this week, Rojo.
I mean,
Yeah,
Carolina has two though, and
Well, but
Freeman's
Devonta
best.
Freeman's facing the Saints.
I think he's placing Carolina. My
No, he
bad.
faces New Orleans tomorrow night at 8:20 p.m.
Oh,
yeah, but he's gonna catch. We know he's gonna be active in the passing game. Ronald Jones isn't consistently active in the passing game, and he's. I don't care. I don't care if it's Jacksonville. I don't care if it's a high school. Like he goes down too easy. Like I just don't trust him ever if I have another option. Like if I had any other option, like if I was playing in games tomorrow, I would put myself in there. Not really, but I
I'm
just
pretty
don't
sure
like
you're
Ronald
going
Jones.
down easy too.
Oh, I have to. Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna go down before they hit me. I'm too old to get hit now. I don't know how Frank Gore does it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So those are my big ones. I mean, at wide receiver, I think I'm pretty good. But
I'm really worried about Allen Robinson tomorrow.
why?
Well, for one, the Bears' offense is inconsistent. For two, Darius Slay.
Did you see Terry McLaurin beating Darius Slay on Sunday? Darius Slay, because of what's going on in
What
that
do you mean,
organization,
Terry McLaurin had like 74 targets for.
Terry McLaurin. So in that final drive that sealed the game, and this wasn't the only time, but he beat Slay by easily 2 or 3 steps on that slant, and it's just like Slay looked like he was not trying very hard. I don't know that I would be terribly concerned. I would be more excited for Anthony Miller if you have any Anthony Miller shares, though.
Oh, I have Anthony Miller all over, but in my big important games, A Rob's one of my wide receiver cogs.
Is he?
But I mean, McLaurin was, you know, 5 for 72. So I don't know how Did he just burn them and got
He,
missed on the
he
pass, or what?
well, he did. So he got there was one that would have been a touchdown that Haskins overthrew him where he beat Slay. Then I think the two final drives they had that they got points on, he beat Slay. Like there was quite a few times where Slay was looking a bit soft in his coverage. So, but he's also hurt still. Like Slay's not 100%. So I don't. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not terribly concerned with A Rob, but you never know. I mean, his history, the way that offense is run. I mean, A Rob could have a huge game or he could just disappear. I mean, and
I mean,
Taylor Gabriel could have a ton of points.
well, I'm pretty sure
He's
Gabriel's
out.
out.
Oh, is he out?
Javon Wims is who you're looking for.
Oh, I have Javon
No,
stashed so many
Anthony
places.
Miller. Anthony Miller's gonna have a big game tomorrow too.
I
Cohen.
think Anthony Miller will have a huge game tomorrow.
Anthony Miller has been way more involved over the last few weeks. Um, Consistently gets missed still, and then people blame it on running the wrong route. But Mitch Trubisky throws passes that just don't look right. When you pass the wrong route and blame it on your receiver, you have problems. So, but yeah, I mean he's put up you know over 13 points the last 2 weeks, or I think he's averaging 13 and a half the last 2 weeks without a touchdown. I still don't think he has a touchdown all season, and he had 7 last year. So there's some positive regression coming in that area. He's been missed. I know of at least 6 where he was just completely burned somebody and was open and was Trubisky missed him for at least 5 or 6 touchdowns this year. But he did that 4 or 5 times last year, even with the 7 he had. So
Yeah.
hasn't been good so far. But yeah, this should be a fun game to watch tomorrow. 2 bad teams. Um, hey, but at least our 3 teams are guaranteed to have at least 9 wins on the season
Hmm.
going into week
Hmm.
14.
So what do you make of the Bears' run defense? Because with Detroit starting an even greener quarterback, I would expect McKissick and Scarborough to have a lot of action tomorrow. What do you think about the Bears' run defense lately?
They had that like 2 or 3 game stretch there where like Murray killed them and what Jordan Howard killed them.
Right.
But it was more with touchdowns. Murray had a couple, I think he had a pretty good average against them. But uh, other than that, like they haven't been giving up the rushing yards like they were. Their defense has been good. Like I said, I think they're what, third in the league, giving up the fewest amount of points. They did have that little bad stretch against running backs, but I wouldn't be starting Bo Scarborough tomorrow if I had any other options. Um, I'm not. There's a few teams I'm not attacking. I understand. Kenyon Drake had that good game against San Francisco, and then I think the next game, the running back had a good game against them. But Chicago, Eagles, Tampa Bay, San Francisco, like I'm not attacking any of those guys, any of those teams with running backs unless it's a McCaffrey or a Cook or a Fournette, guys that we know are going to get 20, 25 touches and catch the ball. Um, so if I can avoid the Detroit backfield tomorrow, I would. Wide receiver twos have consistently hurt the Bears. I do know that Amukamara he got a little nicked up last week. I don't know how he's been doing this week. I haven't paid nearly as close attention to the Bears roster since they completely bombed the 2019 season. But yeah, so I mean, if this kid can throw it all, that's probably where they're going to have to do it, unless they just mail it in and don't don't try to win.
No, I can't imagine why they wouldn't be trying to win. I mean,
No, they're trying to save their job, so
yeah.
I think he's going to have to pass quite a bit because I don't see it happening on the ground. It's definitely not as good as when Akeem Hicks is in there, but it's still not like they get gashed or anything.
Okay. Hmm. Just a question. I was debating on throwing a Detroit running back in because lately they've been a little softer. It seemed like without Hicks in there. Oh, I don't see a lot of questions. I don't see a lot. Everybody must be out enjoying that pre-Thanksgiving warm up.
Yeah, absolutely. But we do have some Thanksgiving foods to talk about, or Taylor's going to be real upset.
Can't wait.
Yes, Chad, I'm
Can't wait.
eating it.
So this all started because I posted an article about how uh, they said green bean casserole was the United States' least favorite dish at Thanksgiving, and it's my favorite outside of the turkey. Like I just think Thanksgiving's a turkey day. You gotta have turkey, but then next
Oh,
up is that green bean casserole, and I feel like Taylor's gonna be like ham or uh, duck or some stupid shit,
Duck.
but we are going to we're going to draft Thanksgiving dinner, and I don't know what we're gonna go 3 rounds or what
I
here.
say we go 3 rounds. When you're on the clock, you pick the food that is remaining that hasn't been picked that you would have to have. Maybe we throw it up on our Facebook page and we put the 3 options up there that have all of our choices and see who wins.
Okay, so we got to keep track of this, is what you're telling me. Let me get
I'm
a
confident that
paper
I'm going
here.
to win this. So
I'm confident that I'm going to win this. He says. I think you're wrong.
now the question
Um,
is, should we limit ourselves to one dessert option, or you could pick the
oh yeah,
you wanted?
it's got to be one dessert
One dessert
option
option.
because
Okay, yeah.
if somebody picks
Someone
like
goes
pumpkin
pumpkin apple
pie, ben
pecan, we're done.
yeah, it's yeah. So what we're gonna do is, since we've already had this discussion, kind of, we're gonna give Brad the first choice. Brad is gonna draft first
Wow,
here,
the 101.
Can I draft my wife
and
because
then
she's the cook?
are we going snake or
Let's
are
let's
we
let's snake it.
okay? So we'll go Taylor second. Unless I'll let you pick. Which one do you? Well, actually, here's what we'll do. Which spot do you want to pick in, Brad?
I don't know. I don't care.
Brad, pick one. Pick a number 1 to 3.
3.
Okay, so
He
Brad's
wants
going
the
third.
turn.
I'll say I'm not much of a cooker, so I'll have
Well,
to do
you
my
eat it.
research.
You eat
No,
it.
it's not cooking. Eating it,
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
Your
not
favorite
making
I
it.
foods
can
to
do that.
eat at Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. I can do
Taylor.
that.
Jeez, what is this guy thinking over
Well,
here?
I thought you
I'll,
guys were gonna be talking
I'll pick
talking your
second.
recipes and stuff. I'm like, I
No,
got
no,
nothing.
no, 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 no.
Jimmy underscore 51s that says go Ravens.
Well, as a
Absolutely.
No.
Bengals fan, I can't get on board with that, but
Well, West
um,
I'm
Coast
happy
team
for
come to
you.
the East. It's gonna happen.
I can. My team blows, so I'm
Slouch.
Seahawks and Ravens for me. Um, Taylor,
Yeah, I'm
first or
picking
second?
second. Picking second.
Okay, so I have to go first.
Yep.
All right,
Boom.
let's see. Do I want to go conventional and just go ahead and get? I'm gonna go turkey right off the bat,
I'm
and we
going.
can we can dissect these picks too.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to have some commentary on the food.
That's the.
Yeah. Would you care to specify? Are you talking whole turkey, dark meat, white meat, or
Oh snap!
prepared a
I
certain way,
mean,
smoked,
In my
this
fried,
mouth.
deep fried?
okay. Smoked turkey is what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm
Okay.
cooking tomorrow.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go smoked turkey.
Yeah, that's great.
But does that leave like baked turkey on the board
Yeah, I can't say that I'll be choosing that, so
or deep fried turkey?
maybe.
Turducken? Is that are you gonna do a turducken?
Uh,
This is getting really in depth. We're gonna have 3 different types of turkey,
yeah, really.
and then
Well, I would say if someone has a different something that makes turkey different, maybe they could. Like if someone said deep fried, I think smoked and deep fried are two very different ways to prepare turkey. So I'm not choosing deep fried. I've never had deep fried turkey, so I can't
I
comment.
think I think we should just keep it
Okay.
turkey, and
Okay.
it can be like whatever way you like it. Like
Whatever
I,
way
I
you
like
like
the
it.
smoked, so it could be baked or it could be deep fried or whatever way you
You
like
got
it.
it.
Or else we're gonna. I mean, if we get
You
into
got it.
ham, if you pick ham, it could be honey
Why do you
glazed. It
think
could
I'm a
be.
ham guy? I'm not a ham
I'm
guy.
just. I'm just saying it could be honey glazed. It
Spiral
could be
cut,
smoked. It could be spiral cut. It'll be too much. 3 rounds will not be
deli,
enough.
like deli.
Deli. Yeah, okay. What are you picking at number two?
I'm picking stuffing. I'm picking stuffing.
What? That is
Yep.
terrible.
That is, if there was a Thanksgiving and I sat down and there was not stuffing, I would leave the table.
I mean, stuffing's not bad, but it's just
It's my go-to.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. I can't get on board with that being your number one
Yes,
pick.
that would be yes. That's going on. Like that's going on my most valuable position. There is stuffing.
Wow.
Yep.
Brad, what do you say, bro?
Uh, I guess I'll have to go with the side as well, seeing as he done taking the stuffing. I'll go with some of them good old mashed potatoes.
Mm, that's great.
Well, I was wondering what you were going to say about stuffing.
Yeah, I love stuffing. I probably wouldn't have taken it in the first round. That's a bit of a
Yeah.
reach. That's a very Lions thing to do. That's the tight end of turkeys or
Yeah, I
of
didn't know if
Thanksgiving.
you'd make it back to me in the second round on the snake, so I had to go ahead and grab my guy.
Yeah,
Weak sauce is
here's the
what it is.
problem is that I already know that our West Coast friends are not in check with the green bean casserole. So if we're putting it out there for a vote, I don't think that I'll win. Now it's better for sure, like it's 100% better. But these West Coasters, they just haven't had this Midwest cooking before. Brad,
Already.
mashed taters.
Oh yeah, I get the turn, obviously.
Oh well, no, but
Oh,
here's my thing. Like it's you should have. You know what? We need to have a get together. I need to make my loaded mashed potatoes. I
all
made
right.
them one year for Thanksgiving. They had ham in them. They had bacon. Um, I use all kinds of stuff, and they're amazing. Um, they would blow your mind. But my family doesn't like it because it's too much during a Thanksgiving dinner. So they need to go. They're better like on another meal. So we'll figure that out sometime in the future. What are you taking in this second round?
See, that's a tough thing. Like people typically make the plain Jane meats, your hams and turkeys and stuff, and they're never really good. Like they're either a little
Well, you
dry
have.
or. So I'm gonna go outside the box with what I would want on Thanksgiving, but nobody's gonna make it for me on Thanksgiving. I'm going with steak as my meat.
Well, if that's what we're doing, then I'm gonna get real creative because I'm gonna pick pizza.
Yeah, I was gonna say I love pizza and French fries.
Hey, you know what? You say that though. We eat pizza for dinner on Thanksgiving evening because we normally have like our get together kind of around 1, 2 o'clock, and we always make sure that we've got stuff to make pizza at home when we get home because everybody always wants pizza for dinner for some reason. So just put it out there. We eat
I
pizza on
will
Thanksgiving.
say one of my friends is making a brisket this year to go with the turkey for
Uh,
people that don't have turkey. So I mean,
brisket.
I guess having other meat is not unheard of.
But
I yeah
oh, I put pizza. I was supposed to put steak.
yeah.
Um,
I thought you were putting pizza. What are you,
yeah,
nope.
if this is the way we're taking it, then I mean I'm gonna blow this shit right out the water.
Gotta do
Well,
what you gotta do.
I'm going classic. I'm going mac and cheese.
Mac and
So you're
cheese.
not actually having any main dishes. You're just gonna have a bunch of sides.
I would be completely fine loading up with sides and desserts. No
Good.
main dish needed.
I'd say we do 3 rounds of regular food and then a round of dessert.
That works.
Um, Mac and cheese. So this one comes down to like, are we doing homemade mac and cheese? Are we
Yes.
doing baked mac and cheese? Um,
You know who's got a good mac and cheese is Chick-fil-A's new mac and cheese because they burn it on top. It's really good.
Yeah. It's all right. It's okay. Their cheese sauce is trash though for their fries.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
if you want
Uh,
good if you want good mac and cheese, go up to Firekeepers in Michigan, and their little restaurant they have in there makes a really good baked mac and cheese. Comes out in a cup. It's amazing. So
Mm.
there you go. But there's also a mac and cheese joint in the mall in Fort Wayne, and they have a lobster mac and cheese that is amazing.
I am a little concerned with my selections of stuffing and mac and cheese that people are going to be thinking boxed stuffing, boxed mac and cheese. And I grew up in a
I
household
will
where
make a disclaimer that everything's homemade.
my mother home makes at home makes homemades the stuffing, which is delicious, and the mac and cheese she goes heavy with the cheese, obviously, and then does a nice saltine sprinkle on top. So takes saltine crackers, crushes them up, puts them on top to give it a little crunch as you eat it. It's
I
very
use French
nice.
onions.
Yes, very nice
I use
touch.
French onions for my crunch on the top. Yes, that sounds very good. I'm on board with the mac and cheese. Um, I don't think it's going to be popular, but I'm going with my green bean casserole. Um, I love it. It's my favorite side um, of Thanksgiving,
I think you would have
and
been there in the third round.
I pick on the snake, so it doesn't matter if I
Right.
pick it now or in the third.
That is the
It's well,
Ronald Jones of Thanksgiving foods.
No, it is not.
for
No, it
ADP
is not.
purposes, you just took it in the
Steak
second round, and it could have gone in the third.
Steak is the Kalen Balaj
No,
of
steak
Thanksgiving
It just doesn't
dinner.
is the
belong.
Saquon of food, period. All right.
No, I cooked a steak tonight for the pre-Thanksgiving dinner. It's not the Thanksgiving dinner, bro.
Because
Um,
you just had the best part of Thanksgiving when you ate your steak. And you
the
speak
day
like that.
before.
I haven't gotten dinner yet, so I'm very hungry. So steak sounds delicious.
So I had my best Thanksgiving dinner the night before
It's over.
Thanksgiving,
You might
so
as well
that's
just
good.
sleep all day tomorrow because you're not going to get anything better than that.
Yeah, right, dude. If you tasted my smoked turkey, you would be like, yeah, it's juicy, it's tasty, you'd love it.
Let's keep this G rated.
Um, all right, so if we're going in third, you gotta have the gravy. You
Gravy
gotta
guy.
have the gravy, and it's gotta go over the turkey. It's gotta go over the stuffing. It's gotta go over the
Literally,
mashed potatoes. It's gotta go over everything. So gravy will be my third option on my list.
I like it. I tend to use the gravy on the turkey meat to give it a little bit of additional moisture, as you may say. I actually don't do gravy on the
It's
mashed potatoes
it's
usually.
moist.
Yes.
It's moist.
Moist.
I everything on my plate is covered with gravy on Thanksgiving.
Mm.
The potatoes, the stuffing, um, yeah,
That's it.
everything. Actually, my stuffing and mashed potatoes get mixed together a lot.
Huh. It's interesting. It's a perfect segue into my third round selection, which is the dinner roll, which is a multi-purpose side dish, as you may call it. So it's nice for soaking up, like just with this motion right here. You're soaking up the gravy on your plate. It's also nice for on the second go round after your first plate, where you've kept everything separate. Second plate, or perhaps second dinner, depending on how much later. You take your turkey and your mashed potatoes and put it on your dinner roll, close it, and eat the sandwich as such.
So like
Uh,
a turkey Manhattan on a dinner roll.
sure, yes. So it's definitely a must-have at the Taylor Thanksgiving table.
Yeah, I was actually between the dinner roll and gravy for my third option, but I gotta have that gravy on everything. So I think that is a good pick. I'm not gonna argue with it.
Yeah,
Brad,
you
round
can't
three's here.
can't
I'm
go wrong.
sure you're gonna go with like lobster,
Yeah, really.
st-
Sushi.
st-
Dude,
steak, lobster, and mashed taters.
my wife was out getting groceries a little bit ago, and I texted her and asked her if she could bring me home some Kroger sushi. She wasn't at Kroger, so I didn't get sushi. But
Mm.
oh, I wanted sushi too. That
Well,
would be sweet for
Saturday night.
Thanksgiving. I know. I'm
Saturday
yeah.
night.
I'm planning on being there. That's my goal is to make it over, get some sushi at Sapporo.
Noise.
Uh,
What's his third pick gonna be? I mean,
I don't know,
you
man. The desserts would be. I'm already thinking about desserts.
no. We're Would you follow the rules, Brad?
You know what? I guess because you guys have already taken most of the other stuff, I would probably have to go with something with corn. So probably
Mm,
like a corn casserole or something. Not just plain old corn, but maybe like a casserole. That's pretty good.
Corn
corn
casserole. Okay, so
casserole. Okay.
Or pudding or whatever you people call it.
Yeah,
my, my
pudding,
Stuff with
corn.
corn in it.
corn casserole pudding. My ex made an amazing one. It was great. I should probably call her up just to get one of those.
I was gonna say,
Um,
yeah.
Full
Give her a ring.
milk.
um, I mean, just the way Brad took that in round two, like I should have just made mine like tacos,
Mhm.
lobster, and sushi, and I
Yeah.
would have won hands
And
down
it
as
would have
long
My
as
been
I don't.
dessert.
better.
My dessert is chocolate
Um,
cake.
wait, we're not there yet.
I
Did
Look
was,
you
at that.
pick?
I
He's
was
already.
joking. I was joking.
We
That
saw.
was
Oh,
That's Brad's dessert for Thanksgiving is
We
chocolate
saw.
cake.
We just saw his draft board. You're like the
Nope.
Dallas Cowboys.
Nope. 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 Throwing you off the scent.
Hmm.
all right, Brad.
Do I get the first pick on desserts?
Yep.
Yeah,
Delicious. All right, so it's got to be like an apple cobbler, some sort of appley cobblery mixture, because those are always the best. Like you can't go
apple
wrong.
cobbler.
You can't go wrong, especially if it's homemade because you're getting the good apples and you're doing it the right
Yep.
way.
Yep.
Always delicious.
Get the lattice. Do you prefer a crumble topping or a lattice topping? You don't know the difference. Okay.
This is America. All right, give me apples. I'm eating steak.
It's
I'm eating apples. Do I look
there
like
has there
Emerald
has to
Lagasse?
be some crunch with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Sometimes
gotta
there's
get
like a
some crunch.
crumble on top, like a
That's Taylor's name. You're the
like
crumble
a
on top of the Roto Heat team.
coffee cake. You know how coffee cake's got the crumbles on it? Sometimes you got that on your cobbler, or sometimes you have like more pieces of crust that are a lattice shape, looks like a fence over top of your apple pie.
Yeah, I'd rather crumbles than lattice.
You're a
Yeah,
crumb
I don't like lettuce on my apple cobbler.
lattice. Ah,
there's got to
uncultured
be a
swine.
crunch. When everything's soft, there has to be a crunch to it. Like
Yep.
I have to eat potato chips with a sandwich. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
can't. I have to have something crunchy. I can't just have
soft.
something soft. That's
That's
why I
why I get
mix
my
stuff with my
fingernails.
mashed
Yeah.
potatoes all the way.
True story.
All right, so we got apple cobbler. What are you going with there?
Sorry, I'm just going with the classic pumpkin pie with some whipped cream on it, some Ready Whip. Or Miracle, or not Miracle Whip. What's that stuff called? Ready
Mayonnaise
Whip
on
or
top, eh?
no. Ready Whip or what's the other stuff that's in the blue?
Cool Whip.
Cool Whip. Yeah,
Cool
yeah,
Whip.
yeah.
Cool Whip.
Cool Whip.
Um, no, I mean it's not my favorite. Um, but I can't argue with it. I do like it, and it is the tradition. I mean, that pumpkin pie is kind of like me saying turkey, so I'm with you.
You know, the nice thing about the pumpkin pie is it's lighter texture. So when you're super full after your meal, you can go into the pumpkin pie and not feel like it's putting you completely over the edge. Sometimes you get into those heavier desserts and it's like I'm gonna yak because there's so much food in my stomach.
I think
Um,
Roto Heat needs to start like a cooking podcast on the side for Taylor.
For
Like
sure. Just let me be a
dude,
food critic. I don't want to cook. I just want to criticize
Taylor
food.
talks tacos or something.
Yes.
Taylor's Tacos. Um, I could talk food all day, but I like to cook it. I I cook all kinds of stuff. Um, but uh, but yeah, for this last pick though, my pie. I'm having a hard time, right? I either a cherry pie, which I love, or a peanut butter pie,
Huh.
which I like way more than pumpkin pie. And I think I'm gonna go with the peanut butter pie. I love peanut butter anything, so peanut butter pie is the dessert that I'm going to go with.
Let me ask you, was pecan pie in the running or is that off your board?
I am not a big pecan pie fan.
Pecan pie is the Caitlin Blage of desserts.
Yep.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. There's two
Yeah.
things, right? So there's a side that did not make our list, which I'm very happy about, and that's any sweet potato anything.
Oh, I
Oh,
love sweet potato casserole. I almost took that in the second round.
That is
Oh, it's
disgusting.
good.
That is disgusting.
Stay home for Thanksgiving.
Oh, it's good.
You
dude,
are
I
a
can't even.
Bengals fan.
I tried like forcing myself to eat sweet potatoes when I was on a diet like 2 years ago. I tried everything, and I tried them every which way, loading them with cinnamon, the whole marshmallow tricks, everything. Like I
Yeah, it's
tried
basically a
everything.
dessert. It's like it's so good.
It's not
You
though.
load it up with the marshmallows, the
Like
cinnamon, you
it's
bake it so it gets a little crispy on top. Whew,
You put
there
that on my
there
table at Thanksgiving, and I'm leaving.
whew.
there are few foods that literally make me gag. And sweet potatoes, the smell, the look, everything. I cannot do it. I can't. So I'm glad it didn't make any of our lists. Um, so do we put pineapple on any of this?
I'm not a
I think you can put
pineapple,
pineapple with everything. No. So
especially on my
here's,
pizza. Leave the crap off there.
dude, you're. I have a feeling like Brad is the pickiest eater ever. Like
No,
you can put sweet potatoes on the table. I'm not gonna like kick you out or leave or anything. I'm
it's like
just not
burning the
You're
touching it.
just
flag.
gonna be
Pick it
gagging
out.
at the
Like,
table.
What about like beets and cranberry sauce?
Oh, I
Like those
love
things are
I love
terrible too.
beets. I
nasty.
love beets.
Ugh.
What?
Um.
Man,
Okay. So I ended up with smoked just turkey,
yeah, sure.
green bean casserole, gravy, and peanut butter pie. Which now that I look at the gravy in there, it doesn't really fit because I guess on the turkey it's fine.
It's a
Um,
heavy meal.
Taylor Taylor ended up with no there's no meat to his potatoes in this story.
I went with the zero entree approach to drafting here.
Basically he is having stuffing and mac and cheese on a dinner roll with
Yes.
a little pumpkin pie to wash that down.
Yes. Talk dirty
Brad,
to me.
I thought we were keeping it G or PG. Brad ended up with mashed potatoes, steak. Yes, on
What's more
Thanksgiving,
What's more American than
steak.
steak? Nothing.
Corn casserole slash pudding, whatever you call it, and apple cobbler. So I will put these up on the Facebook group. We will vote on which person's Thanksgiving grouping is the best. Which I think one thing that we can all agree on is that if we end up at a table that has all of this on it, we're not going to be upset.
That's
There's a lot
correct.
of good. There's a lot of good shit that we just picked. I can eat everything that's on this. I'm so glad we didn't end up with any pecan pie or sweet potatoes or yams or beets or cranberry sauce or any of that nonsense. We don't need any of that. What we've got here is good. I like it. If you're out there watching, you only have a little bit longer to get any questions. Um, and we are going to go ahead and move on. My trade deadline's over. I stayed pat. I didn't make any moves, um,
All right.
which is probably good because I didn't make any like moves just to make moves at the deadline. I was patient and made sure whatever I was doing was going to be worth it for me to do. Um, but uh, but yeah, Brad, what are you doing? Is your deadline over?
We're in the same league together, so yes, my deadline is over as
I
well.
didn't know if you had other leagues too.
Oh no, well, no, there's a couple of other leagues that the deadline isn't until tomorrow night's games. Well, tomorrow's games start, so it's until noon tomorrow. But I think I have two leagues that are like that.
I was gonna do that, but then I was like, dude, I don't want to be worrying about making trades on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. I mean, typically in the morning on Thanksgiving because I don't do any of the cooking. I get up and relax and hang out with the kids and mess around. It, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, yeah, but my problem is that I have 390, or I have
Yeah,
like
you've got a
four
ton of
leagues that
leagues.
I gotta manage. I
Yep.
spent 6 hours today just getting all the leagues straight.
That was wild. I kept seeing all those Facebook posts. I'm like, man, that's a lot. That's a lot. There's a lot of action happening.
Well, I literally have to go through every team in 396 team leagues and a 48 team league, so it's
That's
fun.
just
Only
that's a
about
lot.
340 teams there, something. All right, let's go ahead and do this sales pitch, Brad.
All right. So
Okay,
thank you
cool
for.
story. Everybody, enjoy your Thanksgiving. We're not going to sell you anything today because nobody's watching anyway.
Woohoo!
Happy
Uh,
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy
Stay
Thanksgiving.
safe.
Call an
Enjoy,
Uber.
enjoy your stuffing.
Don't forget, make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss any more fantasy football content from the rotoheat.com team. Also, right there, playlist. Hit it. Watch the videos. Do it. You want to, do it.